All right. As Josiah said, I'm in sales here at ActionFlow, and today we're going to review our estimate configuration guide. So I'm going to share my screen here. And Josiah, can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. All right. So we have created a 64-page guide, and I'm going to take you through this guide today step by step. I'm just kidding. We'd be here all day if I did that. But what I will do is I want to highlight some of the common settings and explain how you can configure those on your own. This is probably going to take about 15 minutes, so we're going to kind of go through it pretty quickly. But as we're going through, if you guys have questions, you can just drop them in the chat and we can address those at the end. But first, I would like to start with a poll. So this is multiple choice. So what is your comfort level with configuring estimates? If you could just drop in the chat which one describes you. You know, are you a wizard at this, or are you afraid you'll break something so you don't even try? If you wouldn't mind dropping the letter that describes you in the chat, that would be great. I just want to get an idea of where people are with this. Nothing? Oh, thank you. Okay. Awesome. Lots of B's. We don't have any E's. I'm sure there's some E's out there. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Okay. So, all right. So where do we start? How do we access the report configurations? So under the administration tab, you go to report configurations, and then you're going to see all the reports included in your account. You will go down to the estimate report, and once you select it, you're going to see all of the configurable properties associated with that particular report with the estimate. That's highlighted in that darker blue box. And one thing I want to note, if you select any of these properties within, like I have the alternate logo selected here, what it's going to do is it's going to give you a brief description within ActionFlow of what that property does. So I have alternate logo, it'll tell you what that does. So it makes it a little bit simpler as you're navigating through the different properties, a quick glimpse of what that property does in ActionFlow. Now the estimate guide will go through all of these in a lot more detail, but just wanted to show you that little newer feature that we have there. So let's just go through the top 8 properties that most people need help with in ActionFlow. So number 1, duplicating the report and editing the name. It is very common for many of our clients to have multiple estimate configurations within their account, so you can create as many versions as you like. So for instance, you might have a very detailed estimate for your retail customers, but maybe you prefer something simpler for your builders. So you can create all these versions ahead of time and then select the one you want when you're ready to send out that quote. So within the report configurations, the first thing you're going to want to do is copy this report to create multiple copies. So you're going to highlight the report. So I've highlighted estimate here, and then you're going to click on that copy selected report in the upper left. What this is going to do is this will duplicate that report, and then it will add copy after the report. You're going to want to change the name of the report over here in the name property. Now, this is the internal name of that report, so customers don't see this, so you can call this whatever you like. So that's how we change the name. Now we're going to talk about changing the actual title on the report. That's my number 2. So by default, the wording or the title that's going to appear at the top of the estimate report is estimate. But if you want to change it to something else, you can do that. So again, we go to estimate and we go to the title property. And then in that field, you can type whatever you like. So I've typed proposal in here, and it's going to show up on your proposal or on your estimate like this down here. So that's an example of how that would look. All right, number 3, managing the report view. So even though you might have 5 different versions of your estimate report within your configurations, that doesn't mean you have to show all of them on the report listing that you're accessing through the area module, for instance. So looking here within my little test account here, we've got a variety of different estimate reports in here. But if I look in the area module, I only have a few that are listed. So if I want to show certain ones in the area module, I would click on that Show on Calc menu option. I check that off, and that will allow it to display in the area module. So rather than deleting maybe an old version of an estimate, you can just deselect this box so it's just not showing up on that menu in the area module. All right, number 4, displaying alternate materials. There isn't a need to send out multiple bids if your customer is asking you to quote several colors. You can choose to display alternate materials on the quote by checking the Show Alt Materials box. Now, this works in a couple of different ways. One way is if you have your materials grouped into levels or categories, it will display the SKU class along with the category or level and then the pricing in a grid like this. Now, this does require some setup on your SKU page, and your account manager will be able to help you with that. Now, if you want to include specific colors, you would add those colors in the area module under the alternative options. You just enter in the colors that you want to include here, and that is going to show up like this on the estimate, where it's listing out each individual color and then the associated price for that color. All right, number 5, displaying the alternate edges. Edges work in a similar fashion as the materials. Again, you're going to need to categorize your edges within your calc type in order for this to work properly. But after you do that, you would check on the Show Alt Edges box here, and then it will be displayed in the grid like this on your estimate. One thing to note is the price is going to show like what it would be to upgrade or downgrade that particular edge that you have selected on your bid. So for instance, I have a bevel edge on this example, and it's telling me for a level 1, it's a negative 300 and 270. So since I have bevel categorized as level 2, it says 0 there, but then it's showing me what it would be if I went down or up or upgraded an edge there. Number 6, price without backsplash. So if you're quoting backsplash, you can opt to show the price without it on the estimate, and you would go to the Show Without Backsplash property and check that box, and then it's going to show this field without backsplash within the area of that particular quote. Number 7, customizing the footer. So the footer is where most people include customer agreements, material disclaimers, payment terms, maybe remnant policies. So to edit this, you would scroll to the footer HTML property, and you're going to click that edit button. And what this is going to do is this will open up this editor where you can enter the information that you want to display on your estimate. At the top, there's some basic editing functions, and once you're finished with that, you can just click OK. And then this information is going to display on your estimate underneath all the pricing information at the bottom. All right, number 8, displaying tax. If you'd like to display tax on your estimates, we've created a special estimate version called Estimate with Subtotal. Now, this should be listed in your included reports, but if it isn't, just click on that drop down, that predefined reports drop down, and find it there, and then that will bring it into your included reports. So when you run this report, it's going to display the tax line separately on your estimate. Now you can hide the area totals if you choose. I just included them on here for this webinar, but it just will separate out that tax for you within the estimate. All right, so now I want to take you through a brief kind of tour of the estimate guide. So Josiah, if you could drop the link to the knowledge base for this guide in the chat, please, that would be great. And I will. All right, thank you. So when you access this guide, we've formatted this in a logical, basically a logical way of how you would be accessing the reports and what you would be doing to get your reports set up. So some of the things we talked about today, changing the name, all that good stuff. But then down here, we have, customizing the header, customizing the body, and then all of the properties that associate with that area of the estimate. So you can kind of go through this and build out your estimate line by line. Now you can click on any one of these and it's going to take you right to that area of this guide. So if you want to learn about the alternate logo, here's all the information. Here's some screenshots, how you can add an alternate logo to your bid. Another way you can search this is if you hit Control F, it brings up this search bar, and then you can start typing in, let's do hide description, and then it's going to take you to where it finds that text string in this guide here. Now everything is all exactly as it appears within the ActionFlow property list. So you just type it in exactly as it appears there in here, and you'll be able to navigate directly to those properties. So hide description, I click here, and now I want to find out how I can do that, and that'll tell me more there. So that basically is kind of a quick overview of the estimate guide. I don't know if anybody has any questions. You can type them in the chat or unmute yourself, or Josiah, let me know what people are asking.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple minutes. I will watch the chat. Hopefully all questions are answered in the guide itself. I think that's the
goal.
That's the goal. So
Teresa.
Yes.
This is Roderick.
Hi, Roderick.
Hey, good presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I have one question. Since there's been a ongoing request for the tax to show at the bottom as in the summary at the bottom of the form, can you provide some insight? Is there any change to the way the tax is behaving at the area level? In other words, each area will still have its own tax component. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So if you're showing the tax, and you're showing the area pricing details, it will display the tax for that particular area. And then it totals it up at the bottom.
So on the area then, would you set that SKU to hide from customers so it doesn't appear in the area again?
If you don't want it to appear in the area, you would just hide the pricing within the area.
Right, right. So you'd hide that SKU so it wouldn't show on the published forms, but it'll still summarize the tax in the subtotal section of the estimate.
Oh, I see what just to say tax within the area listed out.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes. I believe account managers, please correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, you could hide that and it's still going to show up on the tax list.
Okay. Will it also show the tax authority name or the rate in the summary section?
At the bottom, I think it's just says tax. So I don't think you
Right.
can have the rate on there. I believe that's hard coded in there. Again, somebody please correct me if I'm.
So that would then only be visible within the area, but you would never see what the tax percentage is in the summary section. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yes, I believe that's
Yeah.
correct.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll do some testing and we'll see how it goes. Thanks again.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And it's been a while actually since I looked at that one report. But I do think you have to be cautious of the fact that if you do hide an item or even a tax item, and then you add it up, it won't add up to the total that it's showing. And I forget exactly how that works on this subtotals, but I mean, just be aware of the fact that hiding line items might, I mean, yeah, I understand there's reasons why you might hide line items, but then that can lead you to a situation where your set of line items don't add up to the total that you're showing, like within the area.
But Reese, quite often they're not showing the revenue of the line items, they're just showing the tax SKU name, not the amount.
Yeah, if you weren't showing the revenue, then the point I just made is a moot point. And yeah.
Thank you.
We have a question in the chat from Michaela. Is there a library of different guides such as this that we have access to, or are they all link based? Michaela, yeah, these are all accessible through our website. Were you asking if there was like a physical copy? Is that or?
I think maybe she's just asking versus a PDF versus a web page. That's what I understood.
Okay.
And I think the answer is we have both, right? We have some PDF guides and some of them are just web articles.
There are other guides for it. We are working on other guides. So yeah, right now we have the estimate guide complete, but yes, we are working on other guides for other reports.
And there are other guides in there. I can maybe send out a list of guides to everyone that registered here of just various guides that we have. And again, as Teresa said, there are more guides coming. So you'll have some good bedtime reading coming up. Okay, great. I will do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, any final questions? I'm also realizing I didn't put the link to the registration for that event in June in the chat. So there it is. Click away. And if you have any questions, my email is right there. Going once, going twice on questions. Thank you, Teresa. Thanks everyone for coming. We will in 2 weeks have another webinar. This is the rescheduled one. Roderick will be presenting on inventory in ActionFlow, kind of the second part of that non-serialized inventory webinar that Richard did a couple of weeks ago. And again, look forward to seeing you, and thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everyone.